Well, well, well. Look what we have here. Just two people with no better way to spend, say, about 45 minutes than random internet videos. And see, today, right now, in fact, I would usually spend sort of 30 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours, who knows, doing a little bit of short term video, you know, enjoyment, maybe eating some junk food, watching some TV. But today, we're not going to do that. You and me, together, are going to avoid paying my friend Carter $100 by scrolling on Google Earth and not doing phone stuff. Alright, so where should we begin? You have two choices: the Antarctic or the tip of Delaware. The tip, you say? Alright, let's do it. See, what I find interesting about the northern part of Delaware, as I'm sure that you do too, is that it's actually defined by a bit of a semicircle. I can just zoom in with the scroller there. Got a nice semicircle there. Looks like it's almost 180 degrees. A little bit of a corner there next to Maryland. Also, I hope you like dead air. Let's see where that semicircle is centered. Oh, I love Google. I love Google. That's what I said. And I'm not going to edit that out probably. Because all this needs to be is 45 minutes. I hope you enjoy. I didn't know there was a name for it, 'cause it's not exactly a circle, is it? It's a semicircle. Centered in Newcastle. I guess that's there. Oh. This is a teeny tiny little place, isn't it? Wilmington, I think, is where... What's that guy's name? The old guy who was the president? Joe Biden? Joe Biden's from there. You can also take an Amtrak, I'm pretty sure, all the way up to Vermont. I saw that today. Oh yeah, isn't that interesting? I mean, semicircular borders, who would possibly know how many of those there are in the world? I'm not saying I know all of them, just that there's actually more than one. I'm going to show you real quick, over here, down between Zimbabwe and Botswana. Would you look at that? There's a little semicircle too. It's actually a bigger one. I'm a little bit surprised that a $757 tent camp has a 4.8 star rating. Check out some reviews. Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't want to spend $800 and leave a 1-star review. 5 out of 5. Decent 5s. I'm not trying to, be negative about this place either. I don't know, Gladys. I kind of feel like you have to say something if you're going to give a 1-star review. At least that's my take, that if you like a place, you want to be nice to them, give them a 5-star. But if you need to give like 1 or 2, explain yourself. So, yeah, Gladys, I don't think that was very good form. But anyway, moving on. I'm not even sure should be calling her Gladys. That seems a little bit too familiar. Anyway, there's another one, and supposedly, I haven't verified this before checking in. Oh yeah. The Vatican also seems to have a semicircle of sorts. More of an oval, really, but... So that's 2 national ones and a state. I'm sure there are other circular borders, but... don't need to get into all that. Anyway, shall we go back to Delaware? Delaware is real fun. You got Wilmington, and then Wilmington Airport. There's a state road and a Delaware City. Out of all the cities, you're going to call this one Delaware City? Because I would probably say, I could, based on the fact that it's sort of in the delta there, whatever this is called, the estuary. What river is that? The Delaware River, which is the one that George Washington crossed to kill a bunch of Hessians on Christmas Day. I feel like that was 1778, maybe. Let's see. Washington crossed the Delaware. Oh, that was in 1776. Anyway, he crossed that river. I'm sure it was a bit of a, arduous task. And I mean, yeah, look at it, it's quite swampy, so wouldn't be surprised if they were only able to build Delaware City, well after George Washington crossed the Delaware. And therefore, they're not going to name it, Williamsburg and Porter, all of which I would assume are British type things. They could finally call it Delaware City. Wouldn't want to live there. This is the mouth of the Delaware River? Really? Oh, the reviews for that. Pair of granite obelisks. I do love granite obelisks. It's the end of the Delaware Bay and the start of the river. I don't understand, how they sort of make that distinction, but I'm sure there's a reason. Yeah, probably is alright. It's enough of an explanation for me, so I yelled at Gladys a little bit before, but, 1 star, you gotta give more. So it's alright, frankly, is pretty good. So yeah, look at all this. We could have gone to Washington, could have gone to Philly, but no, we're talking about Delaware. But I think we probably guess we've had enough of that. I'm going to go down to something interesting I saw before, which is that Machu Picchu base. That wasn't what I saw, but that's kind of interesting, isn't it? But more so than that, I do believe I saw, the Polish Antarctic Station, which isn't that nice. No reviews, but, I don't really know many Polish people, but I'm sure they're lovely. They've got a nice yellow building there. Didn't know they had an Antarctic Station, rather. Seems to be quite a few of them on King George Island here. Is there a base here, or did someone just want the name down? Peter J. Lenny. Also known as Copa. That's a nice nickname. Oh, it is real. It's a refuge hut. What does that mean, refuge hut? Are there enough Antarctic explorers that... Because, realistically, there's quite a few bases on this here island that if you're just going to have a refuge... I probably shouldn't criticize because I like Antarctic exploration, so Captain J. Lenny and his... Captain Peter J. Lenny and his hut are fine by me. Oh, he's a dead man. From Belgium as well. If it's the same guy. Maybe it is. I don't know. Hope you enjoyed that. Carlini base? Argentine? Ew. Sorry. This was a good one. There seems to be quite a bit of stuff about aliens on these reviews. Scorched Wastes. Is this like a video game thing? As you can probably tell, I don't really play video games. At least Carlini base has a road. George the Alien. I don't think I want to read all that. Lighthouse. I'm sure it's automatic. Don't think I'd want to be a lighthouse keeper out here. This one's got to be like. Oh. I wonder if that was a picture taken here, or actually just a picture that someone at Google thought fit with the vibes. Is that pee? Do these seals or sea lions or whatever they are poop and pee on the ice instead of going in the ocean? Kind of looks like they do, which I think is bad form. No. Bellinghausen is huge. Is the church huge, or is that just... No, the church is small, I think. Wonder who this Nelson is. I would assume it's that one, the one-armed Trafalgar fella. Eco Nelson. Where even is Trafalgar? Trafalgar. Oh. Really? So the Battle of Trafalgar was there. Somewhere. I would assume somewhere around these, waters, but I'm a little bit surprised they didn't call it, the Battle of Gibraltar Straits or something. It seems close enough. I'm not a, historical battle site. I'm not a historical battle, naming expert, so beats me. Where England ships beated French and Spanish ships crushingly. Good word. Since then, England was the one sea power for over 100 years. It's nice to look at sunsets and moonrises as well. The one sea power, if I were to criticize Paul Gall, I'd probably say, called the number one sea power, maybe. Maybe that's what he was going for, because, ships beated. Don't know his first language, but, criticize. Something I do quite a bit. I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm just saying that, number one probably works better. Oh boy, I'm really coming off like not a very nice person here, but that's just the sort of thing, that I notice. Well, 3 stars. Wild, windswept, and very nice. But be prepared for a trek from the car park. Okay. Another great beach where nudity is prevalent, however, there are better beaches in the area. So people are going down to where Nelson, beat all those French ships, apparently Spanish ones, and died, in his moment of glory, and get naked, and this guy doesn't like it. It's probably fair enough. Where is the car park? I don't know, is the car park? No? Because it kind of looks like you can just drive all the way up. That can't be that far from the car park, man. That's not that far from the car park. Or it wouldn't be far from me. I wouldn't really complain about that. Huh. Yeah, probably can't go on Vital to check what that is. I'd be interested in see what you get for $26 on the route Sunset in Trafalgar. Because, I'm sure at a Spanish beach resort, that's more or less just or a Spanish beach town, rather, that's kind of just taxi fare. Well, seems like I'm kind of keeping the voice deep and gravelly. Because I'm trying to be quiet because I'm a little bit embarrassed to be doing this, but I really don't want to lose those $100. So we're going to keep on keeping on. The sort of, the agreement, by the way, is just that if I don't have something a 45 minutes duration up, for the public to see, then I'm gonna have to pay Carter $100 because I'll just spend so much time on my phone. Yeah, Seville, I've been there. Got a bus into Lisbon, which was alright. Don't actually remember it that well. Because I think I might have gotten one of those like $3 bottles of Spanish wine for the bus ride. Madrid, I've been there. We're going to do this now. We're going to do the places I've been. Because I'm going to go like city by city rather than by country. That's what I usually do. Yeah, Lisbon. Sintra, which is technically different. Been to Madrid, Seville. This is really interesting, isn't it? Oh, I've never heard of Mercia, except for, the sort of Kingdom of England, former Kingdom of England. There was one of them called Mercia. Never heard of the Spanish one, but it's on equal footing in terms of the size of its text with Valencia and Malaga and Sevilla, as the Spanish say, so that's kind of interesting. Skipped Barcelona. I've been to Bordeaux, which I'm a little bit surprised that Nantes and Toulouse have bigger text than, but what do I know? Been to Paris, London, Liverpool. I skipped Brussels. I went to Antwerp and Ghent. I briefly stopped in Ghent, pretty much. Amsterdam. I think I got a bus connection in Hamburg once. Copenhagen. Bielefeld, which I'm glad to see it has a text on it, because people in Germany say Bielefeld doesn't exist, because they're weird. Berlin, Munich, Prague. Been to Vienna, Bratislava, and I've been to Salzburg and Innsbruck and Vaduz, that's in Liechtenstein, and Dornbirn and Bregenz. Don't ask me why. Long story. Feldkirch, I've been to. Lindau, I've been to in Germany. Zurich. On the other side, Geneva. I've been to Rome for about 21 hours. Pretty good 21 hours. Kind of want to go there. Slovenia, more of Slovakia. I want to go to Poland. I've been to Budapest. Is that really all my Europe? Well, it feels longer when you're there. I've done like some airport connections here. Not much to say, to be honest. Wasn't thrilled, but the airports or the airlines that sort of fly out of there, I guess, that were cheaper from connecting sort of from Europe to Asia, I guess. I just felt really uncomfortable with how they, have. I don't know. You've probably heard the rumors about, well, the people who are watching this for some reason, have probably heard the rumors about. I probably shouldn't get into this. Migrant workers going to the UAE and Qatar, and then the governments will like take your passport and not let you leave until you finish your contract and treat you badly. So, yeah, I'm not going to support the that practice by spending any actual tourist dollars in any of these destinations. I would really like to go to Oman, though. As far as I've heard, Oman doesn't do that, and they're really cool and different. They have like a whole different branch of Islam, and the Sunni and Shia that Iran's the big Shia one. Saudi Arabia is the biggest Sunni country, I think. Although, as we all probably should know, Indonesia's actually has the highest Muslim population in the world, and India's second. And it was born here in Saudi Arabia. In India, I've been to Jaipur, New Delhi. I don't really know who McLeod is. I thought it was kind of a weird name for a place. But the Dalai Lama lives here. It's a really nice Ganj, Oh, the Himalayas are just beautiful. This was the favorite place that I was in India. I've also been to wherever Agra is, which was Agra. Agra was quite interesting, because it's got the Taj Mahal. It's got the Taj Mahal, and then right outside, it's quite a difficult place to travel. Let's say. Geez, I really didn't go as far as I thought in India. Like basically these three, and then up to the Himalayas, and there's so much more. Lucknow, I've heard about. I guess I've heard about a lot of these, but don't have a trip to plan anytime soon. So let's go. In Japan, I've pretty much just been to Tokyo. I had to go. There's like an airport up here somewhere, and I had to go to a different airport all the way down here. So I did have to like get a visa, leave the airport, get on a train. I got some ramen. I went to an anime store, then I went to a different airport. So I consider myself having been to Tokyo, if only for 8 hours. But when you leave the airport, I think that counts. In Vietnam, which is my favorite country to travel to, been to Hanoi. Mm, is Ha Long the city? I've been to Ha Long. Like Cat Ba Island, is that what that is? Yeah, I've been to Cat Ba Island. I forget what the exact city is, which is pretty interesting. Um, Jeez, where have I? Thai been? I've been to Ninh Binh, which I'm surprised it's not named on the map. I hope it's not just a region and I've been calling the city Ninh Binh the whole time. Yeah, maybe it is. I honestly have no idea where I stayed down here, but it's really beautiful. Besides that, been to Hue, Da Nang, Hoi An. On my last trip to Vietnam, I actually liked Da Nang a whole lot more than Hoi An, which I think is a bit of a hot take if you've been to Vietnam. Nha Trang, which kind of sucks. Ho Chi Minh, of the two, big cities, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh is actually my least favorite. Sorry, Nathan. Who's my Vietnamese mate, he's South Vietnamese, and he said the North sucks. Turns out the South actually is a little bit suckier, which isn't, Vietnam's still my favorite country to travel to. So I hope I don't, so South Vietnam is better, for instance, for me than Denmark, because Denmark was boring as hell. But yeah, I mean, just the North treated me better, I think, in terms of adventure. So I've been to, I think, Ha Giang City, because you go there on the loop. Yeah, didn't see much. So been to Phnom Penh, Siem Reap. That's where Angkor Wat is, which is pretty cool if you haven't been. Oh, jeez, Laos. Laos is kind of scary. There's lots of talk of which Chinese gangsters own which bars and that sort of thing. I exchanged some money at the border, which it turns out I got a bit scammed because they gave me the internet rate, and it turns out you actually get more money, like not the internet rate, and I didn't know that at the time because all I had to go on was the internet. So don't go to lie. Pretty much, I took a 36-hour bus from here in Siem Reap all the way over here, and all the way up to Vientiane, because there was no way. I think at the time there was no way through Thailand. I needed to get to Vientiane to get a iPhone because mine had gotten water damaged. So yeah, from Vientiane, I guess I'm just gonna go by the ones I recognize up. I guess it looks like I stopped at Vong Vieng first, because that's the first one I recognize out of here. Vientiane, Vong Vieng, and Luang Prabang. And then, is the slow boat to Thailand from there? I guess it is. I think it's the only three places I've been there: Vientiane, Vong Vieng, and Luang Prabang. Because you get they call it the slow boat, and you stay overnight somewhere in here. So I've stayed at a different place, but I have no idea what it's actually called until you get to here to Chiang Rai in Thailand. which, Thailand is also a great country, but when I was on this slow boat specifically, I met this Chinese guy. I think his like English name was Ethan. There was this like I think a Vietnamese girl as well, and then maybe one more Chinese dude. And basically, we had all sort of met each other on the slow boat, because it's real slow. There's not much to do, so you just hang out with each other, get to know each other, that sort of thing. And whenever you cross like they let you off the boat somewhere in Laos, and then you walk across a border crossing, you get like a bus into Chiang Rai. And like me, and I think there was another white person there. Like we had our own sort of line. They looked at our passports and sort of let us in. And the Chinese sort of group took them about 45 minutes, and they came out looking real upset, and they were like, "Oh, they told us that sometimes like the Chinese people that come here are bad people," and so they were asking us how much money we had and having us give them bank statements, which I think border security can do what they want. But my reaction, and I think if you've ever been to Thailand, you've probably seen a lot of white people misbehaving, you know, in various ways relating to drunkenness or, let's say, old white men with much younger girlfriends, which is, you know, consenting is fine, but it's just a bit creepy. So if you're gonna turn people away at the border, or I mean, give them a real looking over. I don't think just being white should be the reason why you let them through. Is this the border crossing? I honestly have no idea. So anyway, that was not really my story to tell. They'd probably give it better, but yeah, it was an easier land border, or I guess river border crossing for me than it was for a Chinese mate. Chiang Rai, I mean, I didn't care for this that much. I really like Chiang Mai, which is a different city. It's bigger, but it seemed like this one was a little bit more tourist trappy. Like there's a lot to do in Chiang Mai. I think it's the second biggest city in Thailand. Maybe don't quote me on that. And there's lots of like beautiful temples all over the country, but the ones they were actually advertising, they're like called the Blue Temple and the White Temple. They're kind of just modern art. I mean, it seems like they've been built to attract tourists, as opposed to there's lots of ancient stuff all around Thailand, obviously, which is a little bit more authentic. And like what is authentic when you're traveling? Is authentic always old stuff, or can it be new stuff? Of course, it can be new stuff. I think I might actually be running out of time because this thing only goes for 30 minutes. I've been to Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Pai, bloody. Oh, fuck, where have I been? I've been to Ipoh, Georgetown, whatever this one's called, Langkawi. Look, while I've still got the energy and the setup, you know, and I'm not super embarrassed because I've already been doing this for a while, I'm going to get those last sort of 17 or so minutes. Geez, that last part was probably really boring for anyone who's like actually watching. Like I've been here, I've been there. I hope you got a few nuggets of wisdom, but I mean, when I was planning my travel, I just I literally more or less go by where I can get a bus to, so I really don't get out into the sticks in, Hajong Loop. I mean, it's easy to get to, but because they organize it for you. In like Chiang Mai, I hiked like quite a bit. Like I literally walked something like 10 kilometers down the road to hike some. Oh Jesus! I'll just show you. It was a bit of a. It was a bit of a. It was a bit of a funny story. That I was staying somewhere within like this central square, right? And I walked. It was all the way this way, because the Wat that I went to, the temple, I think Wat means temple, was Wat Doi Sutep, and I just sort of saw. I really I did, first I was on my phone, I guess, or maybe it was a map that I found in the hostel, and I was like, oh, there's this little temple all the way up in the mountains. It's inaccessible. Like I didn't see the road. Like I didn't know the road went right to it, and so I walked like all the way from here, all the way over there, and this bit that was so steep. It took me hours, and I brought like 4 liters of water, and I drank it all, and I sweated it all out, and it was hot. I'm surprised I didn't give myself hyponatremia, which I did in the Grand Canyon. But yeah, like basically between here and here, like it was real hard. But at least I thought, at least when I get up there, the monks are going to be so thrilled to see me, because I really didn't know there was a road, and so I thought I was going to be the only visitor they had. And then when I get there, I see like 40 like big buses, big tour buses, 40 big tour buses in the parking lot, and there's just thousands of tourists. So I was not the only one there. I was the only one that walked, and the monks, you know, were not too impressed, with me more than anyone else. They were nice, saw a little bit of singing, a little dancing. Actually, another place I do want to highlight in Chiang Mai is where my buddy Sia is a monk. He does like monk chat at, I think it's Wat Doi. Did I just do Wat Doi Sutep? Is that this one? I hope I remember the name of it. It's not this one. Yeah, it's Wat Chetty Long. Um, they do like a monk chat where you can go. I think it was at like 3 p.m. When I was there a couple of times. Like you go, you pay. I think it's 25 baht, maybe 50 baht to enter. The temple is cool, but like, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed talking with the monks there at Monk Chat. They practice their English on you. Um, you asked me about Buddhism, so yeah, the monk that I talked to a couple of times actually, because I went twice, like 2 years in a row. He didn't remember me obviously, but his name was Sia. He was from Myanmar, I think. I think he said that it wasn't like his. He didn't like that wasn't his temple, but he went there for monk chat. That like he sort of did his worship and everything at a different temple, and then did monk chat there. And yeah, I mean, Sia. I guess there's definitely no way you're ever seeing this, but if you do, hey, it's me. My name's Gavin, and I hope you're doing well. All right, enough of my damn travel stories. Let's go somewhere interesting, like Antarctica or Bihar. If you don't know anything about India, Bihar is sort of what the travel influencers who are a bit mean about it. Like Bihar is a difficult place to live, I'm told. My friend Neil, he's partly West Bengali, and apparently there's lots of like absentee landlords in Bihar live in West Bengal. I think it has the lowest human development index of any state in India. It's very poor. Like just 100 million people live in this relatively small state. I saw a couple of funny Google reviews left here for different like archaeological sites. Most of them mention trash, which don't want to get too into that because I think people are you know too much talking about that about India on the internet. That wasn't a very good sentence, but it's your fault for watching this. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna talk any more about the trash situation there, but I don't think I'll ever go to Bihar, to be honest. Kathmandu, I will. Which maybe that's unfair, but you know, it's Himalayas versus near Himalayas with a lot more people. And I know Nepal is a very populated place, and Kathmandu, has a large proportion of the population. But I do think it's probably a bit easier than Bihar, from what I'm told. I really hope I spelled everything right. Oh, I thought it would be more. Wow. Wow. It's actually not all that many people living in Kathmandu. So speaking of places I'll never go, I do get a little bit of that thing where like Syria and Iraq being a little bit more stable now are kind of interesting to go to. I don't think I will. I mean, if you go to Qatar, you're probably mostly staying around Doha. So let's see where somewhere I'm not going to go in Qatar. I really doubt I'll ever go to Jah Al Bab or the Fahahil main degassing station. No reviews, eh? Suspicious. Safari Park? I don't know what's going on there. If that is a safari park, they don't have a website, and I would assume it's just, I don't know, probably the property of a billionaire. Probably shouldn't conclude that, but safari park in Qatar, really? Really? What is this? No, it's just a port. Is there pretty much only Doha in Qatar? Were all of the Qatar World Cup games played in Doha? So what I'm thinking here is that because they hosted the World Cup. Well, this is the next World Cup. Because this was the World Cup, and usually they do it in different cities. I'm trying to see whether or not they would have done it in different places. Rule changes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Lusail is where they have the Formula One as well. But, I mean, that's in the same way that sometimes people say that Carmel is sort of its own city, but I feel like effectively it's just a suburb of Indianapolis. Maybe that's not fair, but anyway, I would consider that still Doha. But what do I know? Ah, well, this one does count. It's a different place. It's a little bit cheaper than Doha. The Queen's Resort. It's not giving me a price yet. Instagram is the thing. So it looks like if you are a tourist, you really only have Doha, which, again, I'm sure I'll end up at some point in my life. But yeah, like you've seen Qatar's population pyramid. I hope no one from Qatar gets offended at this, but I just. That they've just got. Yeah, look, this is all from the male migrant workers. And then, are migrant workers in Qatar treated well? Let's see if this answer is inflammatory. No, according to this. Yeah. So that's why I'm not too keen on Qatar as a travel destination. I'd rather go back to Vietnam. And Vietnam's cheaper. That's one thing that I sort of used to assume about the Middle East travel, is that because they're pushing it so hard, and buying Mr. Beast land or whatever that's in Saudi Arabia, and doing all the Formula One stuff, and I mean I knew that Formula One and this Palm here was not going to be cheap, but I would assume they're getting they think they have a Legoland in Saudi Arabia. They're doing the sports things and esports. That maybe a hotel would be reasonable. Because in lots of places in the world, I think the U.S. actually is pretty bad for prices of just general lackadaisical hotel rooms as well. It's $100 a night in Hays, Kansas, off the side of I-70 or whatever it is. Whereas in Vietnam, I guess it's a cheaper cost of living. But like even in Europe, like even in France, even in Paris, like $100 a night hotel is nicer than the Hayes, Kansas one, and it's in Paris. 122. I guess that does look pretty fancy. These are all fancy, but like there's like nowhere for you to stay. That's like $50 a night, and it's like a proper hotel. I'm even about to eat these words. I probably shouldn't be doing this. I'm just gonna make myself look like an idiot. A hostel for $48, which is like Amsterdam prices. Not really, but this looks like an Airbnb, which has a 1.4 star rating, which is not very good. Max of a 2, yeah. Oh, jeez. Worst stay at our 6-month bicycle trip. I feel like it just wouldn't be fun bicycling through like the desert, presumably to get there. I promise I'm not usually this negative about travel. It's just 9 p.m. or whatever, and need to get this done. And this happened to be where my mind goes. Yeah, hostels, hotels. That's the thing, is that if I went, I don't think I'm going to go to Abu Dhabi or Dubai or whatever this one is. Because like you can either spend $250 and get like a really nice like luxury hotel, but then it's another one of those places where the migrant workers who built it aren't treated very well. So I'd rather go to the Four Seasons Chiang Mai. I think I've thought about it both times I've been to Chiang Mai now. Just copping it for $800. Jeez. This I actually kind of feel like this might have been the not dynamic pricing, but like location based pricing based on like me being in America when I'm doing this. Because I feel like last time I looked at it, which would have been about 2 years ago now, in Chiang Mai, it was only like $240. Because like it was definitely like I remember it being affordable, and I could have gotten it for not very much at all. So I thought about doing it as my first like really luxury 5-star experience, but didn't end up doing that, which is fine. I think I stayed at the Yard actually, and it definitely wasn't $46. I guess that's for 2 people. It definitely wasn't 23 either. It was 10. So I'm quite sure that because I'm doing this from America rather than Southeast Asia, it's giving me these prices, which is fine. You're allowed to do that. Well, I guess this kind of lends credence to how I do my travel. I think some people might find it stressful, but yeah, like I just book stuff when I'm in the country. Like I plan a long time, because that was straight up double what I actually paid for that hostel, which I booked like the night before. All right, places I'm actually never going to go to. Yeah, Myanmar's got a whole situation, hasn't it? Civil war. Apparently, like this sort of part, like from here, from this whole peninsula bit, that has declared itself a sovereign state. It's just unfortunate. Wonder what that is. Sort of wildlife reserve. Yeah. I'm sure it's a beautiful country. It's just that it's probably pretty difficult to live in, travel in, etc. So, woe was me. I think my mom said that she used to work with someone from here. It's part of India. Interview Island. Sounds like an interesting place to live. Oh, no way. Yeah, so like this relatively large city, what? I never realized how close North Sentinel Island was. It's just like it almost looks like a pretty decent sized city, considering that it's in the middle of the Andamar Islands. Ah, Mahatma Gandhi's got a marine national park named after him. That's nice. And it's, what's that, like 20, 30 miles away from North Sentinel Island? Which, if you didn't know, is it's got like an uncontacted tribe who, boy, they're really like healing missionaries, apparently. Interesting. Maldives. Heard it's amazing. It's expensive to get to. I don't know. I'm not a huge like beach vacation guy. And so if I was going to go to one, I'd probably go to the inaccessible one to me, which is like St. Petersburg in Florida. Although don't like driving in Florida. You kind of have to. Um, but like I don't know, Fiji, like it's got their own airline. I suppose the Maldives does probably too. British Indian Ocean Territory. Apparently, this featured on The Crown once. Was this in the news recently? The Chagos Archipelago, like that the British government sold it to Mauritius or something. Maybe it is Mauritius. Hmm. Wow, this looks like more or less the same in shape to one of those islands in the Caribbean. Caribbean. Again, this is your fault for watching. This is where they sent Napoleon, wasn't it? Réunion? Was it St. Helena? Because he went to two different ones. Maybe it was St. Helena the first time, and Réunion. Although, I thought the first time he like escaped and just went straight to France. I don't know. But I do know he's from, is this one Sardinia? Or is he Corsican or Sardinian? Damn. I think he's Corsican. If he's Sardinian, I'm going to be looking like an idiot. Yeah, alright. He was from Corsica, which is this one. Apparently they don't like, I don't think they like being part of France anymore. Grenoble. There are lots of places that actually kind of interest me about France. I guess it's just from doing map stuff like this. Grenoble is one of them. Toulouse, Avignon. I think the popes used to live there. They moved from Italy to Avignon for like 200 years or something. I guess I've been to Aix-en-Provence and Marseille. Lyon, apparently is very good food. Dijon, good food. Spend some more time in Belgium in my life, probably. I quite like Belgium. Oh, jeez. I'm like going to law school next year. This is making me think like, I feel like I've done a lot of travel compared to most people. There's so many places I want to go to. And I'm going to have to go to most of them when I'm old, or not at all. Like Gdansk, I want to go to, Warsaw, Krakow. Gdansk used to be called Danzig. When Germany kind of went like over here, it was an internationally administered city before the Second World War. I thought at one point, like last November, I could go to Helsinki and then down the Baltics here, just doing capital cities for a couple of weeks. Didn't end up doing that. Could we end this on a high? We haven't talked about South America at all.